Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk Tom Brady, we talk about the NFL, we talk about Sheldon Richardson, we talk about athletes as in general, and what are the options and alternatives out there for them to avoid getting into trouble. That's all coming up next. My guest host, Earl Ross, joins me now on Guys Talking Sports. Everybody, this is Guys Talking Sports. I'm your host, Al Qualls. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing and been watching. I got an email not too long ago just saying that our past episodes we had close to 1,000 views. So I would like to thank you guys for watching from the bottom of my heart. For those people that's been commenting, good and bad, I still say thank you because at least it shows that you're watching. So anyway, we're going to get started. I want to say what's up, and I want to say welcome to my special guest host, none other than Earl Ross, man. So Earl, man, what's been going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. No vino tonight, so I'm down a glass.
I understand that. So we're just gonna kick things off, and I sent a tweet to you guys, to both you and Adrian Catwell as well, in regards to I guess what we was gonna be talking about, and of course there's the situation that is the NFL and Tom Brady. So I want to get your takes on this whole Tom Brady situation.
It's laughable, actually, in my personal opinion, but. They're going to really stick it to the golden boy. I mean, he saying that he did nothing wrong, but yet and still, whatever was on that phone, you felt inclined to destroy or whatever you did. I mean, they weren't asking for everything on the phone. They just wanted to peek at these text messages, and you went ahead and did that. So that's the reasoning behind why the commissioner said that he wanted to uphold the 4-game suspension. But I think this all relates to the, to the whole Spygate, where they kind of, Patriots as a whole, got off with a slap on the wrist and, kind of like don't do anything else. And a couple of years later, here we go again with, whole Deflategate, deflating the balls. And I think that after the NFL paid all that money to have the independent investigator, look into this 4-game suspension, they had to uphold it. If not, it was going to look real odd. You spent all that money just to go back on what your investigator said. And then with Tom Brady, not allowing them to see his phone and quote unquote destroyed it, or as he says, he changes phones up every other month, every couple of months. Okay, possibly. But, conveniently, the phone got destroyed when he wanted to look at these text messages. So now it's going to court. I think even from day one, I thought the whole thing was a little bit foul. Maybe Brady was like, okay, all right, I came out. Yeah, I kind of like my balls a certain way. Maybe we did a little bit of, took air out of it, but I didn't realize it was going to be that deflated. You come out, you say that, story's over in the day, 2 week tops. But no, they kept up with it. And the NFL kind of, said we'll deal with it after the Super Bowl. And now they want to deal with it right before training camp. So guess what? What you were trying to avoid in the Super Bowl with all this talk overshadowing the Super Bowl, here you go again with all this talk overshadowing training camp in the NFL. So unless they get an injunction, it looks like he's going to be sit for 4 games. And depending on who they get to hear it, if they get it to that judge in Minnesota who's very player favorable, maybe he gets knocked down to 2, maybe he gets 0. But right now, Miles just came out and said that he just liked the balls a little bit. The ball boys, maybe took too much out of it. And I think the whole thing would have been a fine, and overlooked within a week.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just more curious as the fact that, this whole thing just got me wondering. And if you're, as an organization, if you're going to go through this whole ordeal and say, you know what, we're going to fight for thick and thin, and we don't agree with what the NFL is putting on us as an organization, not just Tom Brady, but as an organization itself, then my question is, number one, why would you accept the punishment that the NFL came down on you to begin with? And, if you would have said it been adamant from day one, that's one thing. Then at least everybody could say, okay, you know what? They've been adamant from the jump. They're proclaiming their innocence and they're fighting it to tooth and nail. So if that's the case, then why accept the punishment and then come out and say, you know what, we accept the punishment that was given unto us? But more importantly, if that is the case, the question is, why would you still let go of the two people that was accused of deflating the balls to begin with? I mean, if you're so adamant about your innocence, why not keep those players, or keep those people that was involved in, that actually did what everyone is claiming that they did? I mean, why fire them or suspend them? I think that's really what's like it when people look at it, regardless of the fact, when fans look at it, that goes as something shady is really going on. And like you said, when you factor in the whole Spygate thing, the whole, it's just something doesn't seem right. And now you got the people's perception, and you might not care what fans may think, but fans obviously are taking this to heart and saying, hey, look, I think there's something really shady going down, and you got caught cheating, and that's the majority of the people feel that way.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I always just say the cover up is worse than the crime, and I totally agree. I mean, maybe Robert Kraft thought that by taking the hit for the team perspective, that they might get a pass on Tom Brady. Maybe him and Roger Goodell had some kind of understanding. But I think the rest of the owners in the league was like, no, these guys have been serial cheaters over the years. Bring the hammer down on them. I mean, the owners do pay a salary, and 30 plus other owners outside of Robert Kraft. So, like I said, I think they took the hit because they thought they can just take the team hit, and maybe Brady gets a 1-game suspension at the most. But when he got slapped with 4, and that was like, oh, we had our faith in the league, blah, 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 which means that you thought you and Roger Goodell probably had a handshake agreement. But the other owners was like, no, you got to bring the hammer down. I mean, there's been a lot of bad press for the NFL over the last, year and a half. So I think that Roger Goodell needed to assert his authority per se. So I think he just upheld it. Now it goes to the courts, and pretty much Roger Goodell gets a pass. He can just say, well, I upheld it, but the judge overruled it. So on his end, I think he's saying, I'm going to wipe my hands clean of it and let the judge deal with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's kind of, I'm not saying that Roger Goodell is completely not to blame for some of the things that's been going on with the league, but it definitely doesn't help him or hurt him in this case. At this particular point, it really, I mean, he's at a position where he's just doing what he has to do, and especially with the cell phone text, just make it like so, and it's funny because they talk about, like the cell phone text is so blatant, like you're going to destroy your own cell phone, and it happens to be that one that the league is looking into. And then you get upset when that news is put out there that was one of the reasons why. You can't have it both ways. Like if you're really trying to proclaim your innocence, everything has to be put out there. And, if you're saying you're so adamant about it, you can't get upset when the stuff that's supposed to come out is going to be coming out. It's going to come out one way or another. I mean, you can't control what's going to be put out there and what is kept. And athletes should know this. Like, you're not exempt. This is basically, you maybe think you're exempt from the NFL, from your players and things of that nature, but you're never exempt from the fans. And any athlete will tell you, like, it only takes one bad reputation to basically just put you over, put you under with the fans. Like, this right here is just part of it. Like, you see athletes today that go, something bad will happen to them, and the fans will just rip them to shreds, whether it's social media or whatever, whether it's in the stands. You get booed a lot. It's just you're trying to cover, and like you said before, the cover-up is just far more worse. If you would accept the role and just said, you know what, I'm going to take ownership to this. I may not agree with how this was handled, but you know what, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to take ownership to this, and I accept the punishment. I do apologize. it could have easily have been moved on. I mean, even if you don't really agree 100% with how it was handled, it's still, I mean, acknowledge it. You covering up just makes things worse. And every person will tell you to cover up, like you said, it makes things a lot worse than what it is.
Personally, I'm curious of what what did he have on the phone? He had some the naked pictures of wifey, them doing some stuff on there. I'm like, you crack the phone. I'm like, yo, text messages, man. I mean, like, did you have something else on the phone? Because if you had something like that, then I might be able to give you pass. You ain't want no one looking at, wifey. But outside of that, man, it just makes the whole thing look bad. And a lot of his teammates are now who are going to bat for him are now like, maybe they might try to, distance themselves a little bit, from him to kind of get away from it because now he's making himself look bad. But I think the 4 game sticks. And the Golden Boy, got a little bit of dirt on his jersey now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The 4 games, to be honest, the 4 games have to stick right now. I mean, at this point, by the time this whole thing goes to court, I just don't see it. I'll put it like this: I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't make it in time where he still get the 4-game suspension. And this whole thing about whether it should be in New York or Minnesota, this is like really just going far left than what it could have been easily been accomplished. It's just taking it and now we're just running away with it. And now the rest of the story is not going to be about like the NFL training camps. It's not going to be about preseason, people getting ready for preseason. It's not going to be it's not going to be about any of that. All the news is going to be about Tom Brady and how his legacy is going to be tarnished after this, or what is supposed to happen now in the court system, and whether or not he's going to be, where the injunction is going to hold, where he's going to actually play in preseason and season games. I mean, this is really what the news is going to cover. And it's unfortunate because you're now taking away from, who's going to be able to compete with New England, or who's going to be representing in the Super Bowl in the AFC as a whole. So, like, those things is just taken away now because of this whole Tom Brady thing.
Yeah, so now the Patriots got to deal with it. They got to run with 4 games without Brady. Now you got Garofalo. Yeah, that's starting QB. My best guess is that the first 4 games they probably might go 2-2. And if they go 2-2, that's the best that the Patriots can hope for. And when Brady comes back, God help everybody in the league, because he's probably going to be, cycle time on a mission, trying to murder everybody. Heck, they might even win a Super Bowl right after that.
I can't see that. I don't see it at all. They lost too many important key players on that team for them to do a repeat.
Revis Island, baby.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, him alone what is a step back, but they lost so many other key pieces. Like, it's not even. I mean, they make the playoffs. I don't see them going anywhere. I don't even see them in the AFC Championship at this point. I don't really consider them being one of the favorites in the AFC Championship.
We shall see, because I never put anything past them jokers. They always got those unsung heroes that don't do anything and just bring them up to, perfect example, Julian Edelman. I mean, he was no name. He came out and was killing the league, all because of Brady.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, like I said, we'll see. We'll see. I just think that they lost a lot of pieces to that team where they're going to really miss not re-signing or at least signing them back. But the whole thing is that it's the whole thing with these athletes. Like, nowadays, it's just like, sometimes athletes get to the point where they just feel as though they too big for their quote-unquote britches nowadays, where, they feel as though they can get away with a lot of things. And it's unfortunate sometimes because so many athletes, and I was talking with Adrian about this before, like, these athletes really, they have the money to spend, but it just seems as though that they're just finding crazy ways to really enjoy themselves nowadays when they're during the summer, or when they're, and I was saying this because, like, case in point, we was talking about last week with LaShawn McCoy and that situation in Philadelphia. Um,
The women's only one.
yes, 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 yes. Yes, the women's only party. And I still find that laughable.
I
Go ahead.
He had everybody in Philly laugh about that one. I I gotta give him something for even the ballsiness to even try to throw that party. It didn't send out invitations only, and you can I believe you said you can only there's only like no plus ones. You had to sign a confidential waiver and some other stuff. He got some serious balls to even try to pull something like that off. I'm not gonna knock the idea, but he should never very bold idea, but really, come on, man, that's
Yeah.
just stupid.
Nah, and I was telling Adrian, I was like, I can't knock him for it. I knocked the women that actually signed the confidentiality agreement and actually go. At this
Well,
point, because he's basically already telling you what it is. So if you sign it, that's on you. So if
well,
you
the party got canceled.
okay,
So I mean, they took he had to knock that off. However, I'll be very interested. Who actually agreed to go? That'd be I would be curious about that one.
yeah, no, I agree with that. But my point was is that with athletes nowadays, you know, it seems as though that they feel as though that they can get away with a lot of things of what they do sometimes, and sometimes when it's brought into the public into the public eye, that's when things take a left turn, and at this point, everything has just happened to the point where they got caught, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't get caught, whether or not they still be doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and to me, it's a lot of, players are going to do what players are going to do. I mean, you have off season, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of status, and trouble finds you, you find trouble however you do it. But Roger Goodell was supposed to be this new sheriff of town, supposed to clean up the league and bring the hammer down. And in the beginning, he was squeezing some people out, but now it looks like it's still cats still going to do what they want to do. Is going to happen in whether it's NFL, NBA, major leagues, hockey, no matter what. A lot of money, a lot of time in their hands. Guys are going to do whatever.
Yeah, the inmates run the asylum. That's pretty much how. I mean, that's all. That's how. That's the inmates are running the asylum, and you can see that because even the owners are now taking sides with the players. Like I never expected Robert Kraft to actually say, you know what, I'm going with Tom Brady on this one. I'm defending Tom Brady on this one, which was a kind of a shock because now he's in agreement with what the players union have been saying all this time about Roger Goodell. So it'd be interesting to see, and the NFL, I should say. So it'd be interesting to see how Robert Kraft would be treated in the midst amongst his fellow owners of basketball teams. So and it's funny because I heard quotes about him now being called the new Al Davis of football.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's going to probably get a little bit of backlash. I mean, a lot of owners are probably not going to really, come out as vocal. I think I heard, Jerry Jones say some things that he was pretty much standing behind, the owner and I mean the commissioner, and I think a couple of others have. But overall, a lot of owners have kept very mum about this whole situation, out of fear of anything, skeletons of their own closet falling out.
Yeah. No, and to be honest, I understand. I definitely understand, but I don't think this is gonna get better. I think it's gonna get a lot more worse than what it is. Um, I just don't see the reasoning why Brady would try to sue the NFL over this. I believe maybe it's because of his character is more important at this point. His legacy maybe tarnished, but at this point, fans is already going to have their opinions whether he likes it or not. So a lot of fans, majority of fans believe as though he is, of course, is a cheater and will always be. So it will be interesting to see how this whole court system plays out, but it's not going to affect what fans already think of him.
Yeah, you're gonna have people that like him, dislike him. I mean, I think he's still a first ballot Hall of Famer easily. irregardless of how this whole thing plays out. But yes, the Golden Boys image, the face of the league, is, tarnished right now. And, now NFL is going to start veering away a little bit from Brady. You're going to have to find a new face of the league. Who they're going to prop up next is going to be the question now, because pretty much Brady is pretty much not the guy they want to, put all their eggs behind now.
Yeah, not anymore. And it's sad, but unfortunately, that's the way of the business now. And like I said, all it takes is one person. I mean, one thing to tarnish that legacy, and then you see how people be avoiding to talk about it now. I mean, case in point, A-Rod was the same way in Major League Baseball, and until that incident happened with him, and he had to just completely fade into the black before coming back to where he is right now. Even though he's still going to have that his record tarnished, his legacy tarnished with the whole PEDs, and it's not the same comparison as how Tom Brady is, but I'm just saying it from a legacy standpoint, how this is going to affect his legacy, and it's going to be something that he's going to have to most likely get used to in regards to his legacy is concerned. Now everybody's going to be perfect, and I think that's something that he's going to have to understand.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, it's something that he's going to have to deal with. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's going to be talk, but it's not going to be major league. I mean, the one thing, victory cures all, and if he comes back and whether he wins the Super Bowl, it gets real darn close, winning it all will shut everybody up.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that because adamant fans that don't like him is going to say he must have done something else to as far as some type of cheat is concerned. He may have done something else, whether whatever it is, to get an extra advantage on against teams. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to when he does come back and play the Colts and see how that game is going to be played out.
Yeah, because Andrew Luck is quote unquote, that's the new face that they want to push. Now Andrew Luck has to win a Super Bowl or two to really get it all. But I mean, you have the older horses. You have Brady, Manning is on his downside. Aaron Rodgers is there right now, but I don't think he never caught that really persona like Brady did. So I mean, right now they want Luck in that position right now. Now they're going to probably try to push him even harder with everything with Brady going down. Him and probably Rodgers at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I really do agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see how that does play out. But enough about Brady, because I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about him sometime in the next couple of weeks with the court system being where it is right now. I'm also going. I wanted to get your thoughts on, because I just filled you in on the information about Sheldon Richardson. The police were looking for him, reportedly because of him speeding doing 140 miles an hour, and then ditching the cops and trying to hide in some unknown driveway. Eventually, he got caught, of course, but when they pulled him over and did arrest him, they did find. Though they did say that there was a heavy smell of marijuana in the car, as well as a 12-year-old kid that was in the car as well. So I wanted to get your thoughts and takes on it, because he's already suspended for, I guess, I forgot, for a certain amount of games prior to, in the NFL season that's coming up. So he's already suspended, but this was never brought out until just now. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
A, what are you doing driving 140 in a Bentley? B, where do you think you're going to park a Bentley and not get caught? I mean, it's not like an inconspicuous car. Bentley's, you're going to notice it. I don't get it. I have to read the whole thing and kind of see how this all plays out. But I mean, there's the smell of weed in the car, a minor in the car. What is he doing in the car? Your boy's in the car, and then you're going to try to sit there and evade the cops. Right? You had the smell of weed in the minor. Yeah, you're going to get tagged. You're going to drive in someone's driveway. You should have turned the whole car off. You don't leave your brake lights on and get caught by the cops, but yet still you're doing 140 in a Bentley. Really?
I when I first heard it, and when I have to admit, I heard this on the radio, and ESPN was reporting something to that extent, and I didn't get all the details, that's completely my mistake. I was more paraphrasing, but from what the gist of it I did get is that he was speeding 140 miles an hour at least in a Bentley. The car, from what I was gathered, was told was filled with marijuana, smelled like marijuana, and a 12-year-old kid was inside the actual car. They evaded the police, basically hiding in somebody's driveway, of course, and the only way the police found him was that he had the brake lights on the car. If that is all true, let me say that with the disclaimer, if that is all true, I'm very concerned, not about the Sheldon Richardson himself, but more so the 12-year-old kid that was in the car. If you're doing 140, smoking in a car with a 12-year-old kid in the car, that's my biggest concern, because not only are you risking your life driving that way with people in the car, but you're risking the 12-year-old kid as well. And as much as I'm, the kid to me is the important factor in here, because you should never be doing that. Like, that's like, I'm gonna do 100 miles an hour with kids in the car, and for what? If not the safety of yourself, and you're a sports athlete. That's what what I'm saying. Like, and this is what I was going back to saying about athletes do some crazy things. You do things that risk yourself harm or danger when you have a privilege to play in a major sports league, a major sports profession, making a lot of money that these teams are willing to pay you, and yet you still do crazy stuff that will either get you killed, get you arrested, or get you hurt. Like, I don't understand athletes sometimes. Like, it seems as though that, it's like one of those things where I'm bored. I'm just going to do whatever. I mean, and I apologize for going on a bit of a rant here, but this is something that I just never got understood with athletes as a whole. I mean, Ty Lawson, DWIs, before getting traded to Houston with the NBA. You got this case with Sheldon Richardson. You got JPP blowing off his fingers, for doing fireworks. I mean, these type of things, the first thing that would come to my mind is, am I going to risk myself harm or danger if I do something like this? Especially if I know the dangers of what's been going on with DWIs, with DUIs. Those type of things. Why would I risk myself doing it when, saying there's other alternatives that would better benefit me for my own safety? But not just my own safety, but whoever else's safety that's out there. So I'm trying to understand why athletes do the things that they do sometimes. Because, go ahead.
No, and at least not forget, now that I'm looking, there's even a fully loaded, semi-automatic weapon in the car.
Yes, that's what I forgot to mention. Yes.
So me personally, I think the Jets are probably, he should expect to get a nice call from the commissioner. And since he's already down to throwing, 4-game suspensions out for, Tom Brady, deflating balls, you can expect he's getting a ban for the whole, put out for the whole season. That contract that he got with the Jets, that might be null and void, because you already got that, conduct, detrimental to the team and the league. So not only will he probably not play the rest of the season, he probably not even going to play for the Jets, period.
And that's hurting your team, the organization, and it's going to hurt you in the long run, because nobody's going to want to take up. Teams don't want that type of distraction. Like, and what makes it worse is that you are a habitual offender. Not just with that. This is like your fourth time suspended for. Is it this fourth time? I don't know how many times he's been suspended for the marijuana possession, but I know it's more than once. So like after a while, teams and organizations get tired of these players always in the limelight for a negative reason. But then again, I can't. I have to take that back because there's still other teams that's going to sign them, just like how Dallas did, signing a couple of players who, of course, had previous run-ins, I should say.
Greg Hardy, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and let's just say, preference to say that, all this stuff is still alleged.
True.
For legal purposes. But still, I mean, it's not all athletes. There are some very good athletes out there that don't get any trouble, that follow letter of the law. But there are some that just make everybody look bad.
Yeah, no, and I'm not knocking. I'm not trying to say that every athlete is like that. I'm just saying is that I try to understand the reasoning behind it. Like, if the first thing that would come to my mind, if I'm an athlete, the first thing I'm coming to my mind is like, okay, what is it that we're doing? Am I really putting myself in danger if I do this? Like, if I'm going to, if I was drinking, for example, and I know that I'm going to be drinking and continue to drink, I know for a fact that I won't be getting in a car anytime soon. I mean, I could easily call a cab or call somebody to come and get me. As much money as I'm making, somebody's going to come get me regardless. You know what I'm saying? So, like, those type of things you can avoid yourself. I guess it's just that I just don't understand the reason why people do things when there's other options. That's what I guess my point is.
I agree. I mean, you would think they would have, your health and keeping clean is part of, your job, like all of our job performances basically. But, for athletes, they held at a higher standard. And if you're going to go out there and drink and do whatever, man, hire a driver for the night. You got the money to do that.
Yes.
And keep yourself out of trouble. You can do whatever, smoke, drink, do whatever. Hire a driver to drive you home.
Yes. And even and with and I understand about the marijuana policy that some states are legalized marijuana. That's all well and good. But if my company is still doing drug tests and marijuana is part of that drug test, you're not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Now when you get, if you get all season or if you're injured or whatever the case may be where you're not worried about it, by all means, do you. But the point I'm making is that you have rules, and the NFL, any sports organization has rules, and you have to follow them. And you can't get upset when, you get caught out there and then you get punished for it. That's just the American way. So that's why I guess I don't understand about the appeal process and the players union. I understand it to an extent, but there's certain things where you just, if you flat out wrong, why would you even try to explain yourself? Just admit it and just move on. Like, you know what? Yeah, I did it. I did a DUI. I deserve to get punished. It's like athletes are not taking their punishments like the way that anybody else would. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, there's always got to be a loophole or a catch.
Yeah, because when there's a lot of money involved in stats and fame, you think you can kind of get around certain situations. I'm in full agreement with you. I don't know why.
Yeah. But hopefully down the road, athletes will get themselves together and just utilize, know that there are other options out there instead of doing things that could potentially get you in trouble, not just with the law, but with the organization as well. And hopefully that athletes will realize that down the road.
Yeah, we'll never know, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. But enough of my rant. I'd like to thank Earl Ross for just taking the time to at least hear me out, listen to me complain. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, man.
It'd probably be a podcast where I'm gonna go off on a tangent and complain and rant. So hey, You got to hear me one of these days.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Then when you do that, I'm just gonna say, you know what? The floor is yours, man. The floor is yours.
It's probably come a football season and the Giants. I have a lot to talk about them some weekends.
Yes, yes, I am aware of that. So now and that's when I'll let you have the floor. All right. So for now, tell everybody where they can reach you at, man.
All right, man. You can hit me up on Twitter, JEROSS7. It's my handle out there on Facebook and out there on Instagram, same handle as well.
All right. And for everybody else, you can catch me at I am Al Qualls. It's right there on my handle. You can also do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, which is on the lower right-hand side. I really do appreciate it. And tell people, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. It's all the same. Tell people about us. We're starting to get a lot of reviews and a lot of views on YouTube, man. Right now, we're just taking this one step at a time. Eventually, I would like to open up a forum to everybody and just continue to talk about sports in general. But for now, this is Guys Talking Sports. You can catch us every week, every Friday, I should say. Thursdays included. We do our Thursday recordings live, but we put it out on YouTube on Fridays after the edits and everything. So you'll see this out there. Catch us again next week. We'll still be talking about probably Tom Brady again and the rest of the NFL because everything else is going to be probably focused on the NFL. And, again, we're going to start talking more as we get ready for the NFL season. The training camps are now. Probably start doing a two-a-days about the NFL. We get started talking about different teams. But for now, this is Guys Talking Sports. And, again, signing off. I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out. Peace.